All right, so get this. You're interested in how facial analysis, might shake up the advertising game. We're talking those digital ads that seem to know exactly what you want, sometimes even before you do. And we've got some actual patent applications and international search reports to, really get into the nitty-gritty of it all. So
Buckle up.
buckle up.
It's wild, right? And like these patents, they argue that the old school static ads, like those unchanging billboards, they just aren't cutting it anymore. People
Yeah.
tune them out.
Yeah.
So advertisers are looking for something way more attention-grabbing, something more personalized.
That makes sense. I mean, if an ad's not relevant to me, I'm already scrolling past it mentally. But this takes it to a whole new level, this patent, WO 21.14169A2. It lays out this whole system to analyze facial features in real time. We're talking image acquisition, detection, the whole shebang happening right there as you walk by.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, building on tech that's already out there, which is important to note. Facial analysis is used tons in security and surveillance, right? What's new here is taking that and applying it to, well, selling you stuff.
Okay, so walk me through how the system actually works. The patent mentions a weighted image. What's that all about?
Okay, so imagine this. The system grabs an image of your face and it starts breaking it down. And it's not just male or female. It's statistically analyzing all sorts of features. Your estimated age range, what you're wearing, even trying to read your emotions. And all that gets turned into a code, your weighted image, which is basically like a digital fingerprint of your face at that moment.
So they're not just guessing I'm in my 30s. They're analyzing my bone structure, wrinkles, all that. Kind of creepy, kind of cool. But then what? Do they just have a giant database of faces linked to products?
Not exactly. It's more about matching your weighted image to an ad's ideal customer profile, also translated into this weighted code. So the patent gives an example. Imagine a sunglasses company wants to target their newest shades to men. Their ad's weighted code would heavily prioritize the male feature, making sure it's mostly shown to, well, guys like you.
Okay, that makes more sense than just matching faces one-to-one. But this whole thing hinges on accurate analysis, right? What if the image is blurry? Or the lighting's bad?
That's where it gets even more interesting. The patent actually describes ways to enhance image quality on the fly. They even use something called a lightning rule, which sounds way more intense than it probably is.
Lightning rule. Does the sign, zap you with a quick flash to get a better picture?
Not quite. It's actually an algorithm that analyzes how bright or dark the image is, and then can adjust things like contrast to make details clearer. So even if you're walking past in low light, the system's still working to get a good look.
Wow, talk about persistent. So they've got the image, they've enhanced it, analyzed it. But there must be tons of ads in this database. How does the system actually decide which one to show you?
Good question. The patent lays out this whole flowchart for matching. It starts by comparing the sequence of features in your weighted image to the sequence prioritized by the ad. Let's say the sunglasses company really wants to reach younger men. Their ads code might put young and then male as the top priorities. If your weighted image matches that order, boom, you're in the target zone.
And if there are multiple ads that fit the bill, what if I'm the target audience for both those sunglasses and new energy drink?
Then it goes down the list of matching criteria. Maybe one ad is a closer overall match to your weighted image. Or the advertiser has flagged certain features as super important. It's like a whole decision tree happening in milliseconds. And even if there's no perfect match, the system is designed to find the next best thing right. It's all about maximizing those advertising dollars.
Got to keep those ads rolling. But this isn't the first time someone's tried to personalize advertising, is it?
You're right. There have been attempts before. In fact, these patents actually reference some. One example is a Chinese patent application, CN 107248091, that also uses face recognition for marketing.
So what'd they try? Was it like those virtual makeup kiosks that guess your age and suggest products?
Yeah, pretty much. It analyzes your face for age range and gender to suggest things, but it's all very general. The patents we're looking at aim for a much deeper level of personalization. We're not just talking about broad demographics anymore.
So what they're developing is less, here's a generic ad for your age group, and more, here's an ad tailored to your unique mix of features and maybe even what you're feeling right now.
Exactly, and that's where things get really interesting. Because now we're talking about using incredibly sophisticated technology to analyze some of our most personal data, our faces.
Let's talk about the tech for a second. These patents mention deep learning. How does that fit into all of this?
So deep learning is kind of like the engine behind all this. It's how the system learns to analyze your features and predict what you might be interested in. Imagine feeding a computer program a massive amount of data about faces and consumer behavior.
So it's like the more data it crunches, the better it gets at reading faces and saying, this person fits this profile, show them this ad.
Exactly. Deep learning is all about pattern recognition on a massive scale. But like you said, it all comes down to the quality of that data and how it's being used.
Speaking of using data, the patent mentions cameras and sensors being used for this facial analysis. What's the setup like? Am I going to walk past a store and get blinded by a spotlight scanner?
Definitely not. The patent actually stresses that the image acquisition should be discrete and unobtrusive. They're going for seamless integration with the surroundings.
So more like those security cameras you don't even notice until you think back, wait, was that thing recording me?
Exactly. Which is an important thing to consider, just like with any tech,
Yeah.
especially when it involves collecting personal information. Transparency is key.
Right, let's not forget that while this is about advertising, it's still our faces they're analyzing. Okay, so they've discreetly grabbed an image of my face. Now what? How do they break down all those features into data points?
So the first patent, WO 2020-141-114-9A2, actually breaks the analysis down into multiple modules. It's a whole process, starting with, of course, actually finding the face in the image.
So if I'm walking with a friend, it needs to know which face is mine to analyze.
Right. The patent calls it detecting a valid face, meaning one that's fully in view and facing the display. Then it estimates how many faces are present.
So a single shopper, couple browsing together, a whole family walking by, you can tell the difference. Then what? Is that when it pulls out the calipers and starts measuring my forehead?
That's where the classification module comes in. It analyzes things like gender, estimated age range, emotion, even things you're wearing like hats or glasses.
Wait, hold on. It's reading my emotions too. How do you even begin to classify something like that from just a quick image?
It's all about those micro expressions, the subtle ways our faces change when we feel something. The patent lists emotions like happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and even disgust.
Wow, that's a lot to unpack from what might just be a fleeting glance at an ad. So it's got all this data about my face, my potential mood, what I'm wearing. What do they do with all that?
Do you remember those weighted images we talked about? It's time for your close-up. All that analyzed data gets transformed into your personalized weighted image.
So I become a string of code based on my unique features. Then it's matchmaking time with those weighted ads.
Precisely. The system compares your weighted image with the ideal customer profiles that advertisers set, looking for the closest match. It can even prioritize certain features.
So if that sunglasses company really wants to reach young men, they can make sure those features are prioritized above others.
Exactly. It's like a super specific dating profile. But for ads,
Okay, but you mentioned they referenced other attempts at this kind of targeted advertising. What were those like? So there were other attempts, but they weren't as sophisticated. What did they try?
one example is this U.S. patent, 7636456. It tried to personalize digital signs based on like the time of day and how often certain groups of people walk by.
So more like, it's lunchtime, show the sandwich ads rather than, that guy looks hungry, hit him with a pizza pop-up.
Exactly. It relied on broad trends, not real-time analysis of individual faces like the tech we're looking at.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the system we're discussing. Say they've analyzed my face, turned me into a weighted image, and matched me with some ads. What happens next? Does the screen just flash the first ad that fits the bill?
Not necessarily. The patent gets into the specifics of ad display, too. It's designed to be a dynamic experience.
So not just a static billboard that changes every few minutes.
Right. It mentions ads could be images,
Yeah.
videos,
Yeah.
animations, even text. And if multiple ads are a good match for you, they'll actually be shown in a sequence.
So it's like a curated playlist of ads just for me, based on my face. That's kind of wild. But I'm guessing they're not just showing me one ad after another all day.
You're right. There's a whole system for how these ads are selected and displayed. The patent calls it a flowchart for selecting a suitable advertisement.
Flowchart. Sounds complicated. Break it down for me.
Well, it starts with your weighted image. That string of code based on your facial features. That gets evaluated against the rules the advertisers set. Remember how we talk about them prioritizing certain features?
Yeah, like the sunglasses company really wanting to reach young men first and foremost.
Exactly. So first, the system checks if the order of features in your weighted image matches the order the advertiser prioritized in their ad code. If there's a match, great. It looks for ads in the database that fit.
And if my face code doesn't match the order they're looking for,
Then the system goes down the list to the next rule, which is most similarity. Basically, does your weighted image generally resemble the profile they're aiming for, even if the exact order of features is different?
so maybe I don't perfectly fit their young man ideal, but I'm close enough that they still want to show me the ad.
Exactly. And if that doesn't work, there's another rule based on important features. Maybe the advertiser decided that wearing sunglasses is the most crucial thing for their ad, even more than age or gender.
So even if my other features aren't a perfect match, if I'm sporting some shades, they'll hit me with that ad.
You got it. The system is designed to be flexible, so advertisers can reach their target audience in different ways.
It's incredible how much thought goes into all of this. But what if, after all that analysis and matching, there's still no ad that really fits? Do I just get a blank screen?
Not quite. If the system can't find a suitable ad based on those rules, it'll simply show a random one, kind of like a catch-all, just in case.
Makes sense. Can't waste that advertising space, right? Well, we've gone from blurry security camera footage to lightning rules, weighted images, and a whole flowchart for deciding which ad to show me before I even consciously register what I'm seeing. It's a lot to take in.
It really is, and we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with this technology. Think about the potential applications beyond just advertising. It's a brave new world out there.
It certainly is. And as we've discussed, it's one we need to approach with both curiosity and a healthy dose of critical thinking. Thanks for taking us on this deep dive into the future of advertising.
My pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, knowledge is power. And the more we understand about these advancements, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this ever-evolving technological landscape.